Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this is my cousin's father-in-law's iPhone SE 2020. The issue, they said, is that the home button doesn't function. Well, it does look fine. Well, besides the crack, obviously. It seemed to function only, but they're having issue with this, so let's get it replaced here. Well, here using the first panel of screwdriver, you can see that it does not work, so I had to switch the panel of screwdriver, which took the screws just fine. Now we can move on to heating up the display, where it's just hot enough to touch but not heat too much just in case it damages the display. We can take the suction cup now and pry open the display, but not too fast in case it damages the display. We can now pry open the display. I am going to be using a Metro card to help me cut the waterproof adhesive, but you could also use a plain card. But I'll recommend something that is light in weight and flimsy, nothing like a credit card, because it could damage the phone. Moving on to the bottom bracket, we can take off these screws. Surprisingly, Apple actually made it easy by using all Phillips screws this time. We can now unplug the battery just to be safe before we take off the display. We can now move on to the top bracket. Unlike the bottom bracket, Apple had actually used the mutual screws on this one, so Phillips and Y0.6. Now unplug the display cables. Now for the earpiece connection, I tried using a plastic prying tool, which did not work, so I had to resort to a metal prying tool, which I do not recommend. Luckily for me, nothing was damaged using the metal tool, but if you're using the metal tool, you should be trying to be careful. We can now take off the 4 Y0.6 screws to remove the bracket and disconnect the current home button from the display. Out and switch to the new home button. Looking at the new home button, we can see it is in perfect condition. If you guys want this home button, I'll leave a link for it in the description. Taking the bracket, we can now place it back and screw the 4 0.6 screws back in. I purposely had slowed this part down to show you guys that the iPhone 7 to iPhone SE 2020, these home buttons are very sensitive, so it is important not to overdo the screws. We can now test the new home button by powering on the device. Testing the new home button, you can see that we get absolutely nothing from the device. Let's power off the device and see what is going on. Now going on to the site where the home button was purchased, we can see that the home button is only for decorative purposes. My cousin said it was completely fine as the home button would randomly start activating, that this new home button will not automatically activate touches. We can now open the device back up, place the bottom screw on, and screw in the 4 Phillips screws. Now moving on to the top bracket, we can now screw everything back into place. We can now place in the display in the correct place and place the famous spandrel up screws in to its place. We can now power on the device and put it back into its case. Video, leave a like and consider subscribing. If you hated the video, really let me know and hit that dislike button twice.